Welcome to Learning on Your Lunch Break. This is Jenna Miller, 5th grade teacher and graduate student in the Wilkes University Instructional Media Program. Today we will be discussing globalization and what we need to do to prepare our students for the future. To be concise, globalization can be defined as a concept that indicates that we live in a world that is increasingly interconnected. Improvements in technology have enhanced the ability for people from around the world to communicate, share, and access information. People of all walks of life are now able to work and communicate at an international level instantaneously, a concept that was unheard of just a few short decades ago. Much of the fear of globalization stems from the loss of American jobs due to offshoring and outsourcing. Improving technology and globalization give reason to believe that the number of American jobs lost to other countries will increase dramatically in the coming years, particularly with jobs that offer impersonal services, jobs that can be accomplished without face-to-face interaction. Advancements in technology and global communication are transforming what previously existed as a large, incredibly diverse world, with the United States existing as a prominent leader, into a small, flat world where the disadvantaged class is quickly gaining ground. Since the Cold War, America has been pushing the envelope to stay one step ahead of our competitors, innovating, creating, and constantly advancing technology. Ironically, our own motivation for advancement has directly led to the problems we now face with outsourcing, open sourcing, insourcing, and the like. The invention and installation of global fiber optic cables have eliminated the need to hire workers trained in our own country. Efficient practices have decreased the number of people required to complete tasks, and for tasks that require manpower, highly skilled, more cost-effective labor is available from other countries at the click of a button. We have become the agents of our own demise. Currently, there are workers in other countries solving problems and developing programs and designing products that should be, worked on here on American soil, benefiting our people. Instead, our country is being run by huge corporations that supply us products and services that inevitably benefit other countries. Meanwhile, our airwaves are filled with promises of which politician will dig us out of the hole we are currently in, which leader will regain the most lost jobs as unemployment rates continue to rise. These thoughts are incredibly unsettling. As stated in Friedman's "It's a Flat World After All," this is not a trend to be taken lightly. This is the beginning of a crisis. In the midst of this fear, we must want desperately to reach a solution. What can we do to solve the problems that globalization has created? How can we change our education system to produce a competitive business class? Finally, you must ask yourself, what can I do? How can I know that I did everything that I could to prepare my students for the future? As teachers, we must do everything we can to assure that our students graduate in the running for the top jobs in our country, and for them to successfully earn these jobs at a price that allows them to become active, contributing members of society. It's natural to react to globalization with alarm. It is easy to view globalization as a bad thing, something that is driving other countries to success and leaving our nation jobless and in despair. However, this fear is necessary to act as a catalyst for change. Our nation is not at a loss. We are at a crossroads. Our purpose as educators is to prepare students for the global future so that they can experience success. To prepare children for the increasingly flat world, we must alter our own perspectives on education. Rather than teach children to do, we must teach them to think. And this thinking process must be multifaceted, as students need to think about their own thinking, the thinking of the global market, and the ways in which these thinking processes coincide. In a nation driven by the pursuit of wealth more so than the pursuit of happiness, many Americans are at a loss of what to do to change our current downfall. We're in the midst of a huge shift in the way our nation functions. College graduates trained in accounting and engineering are unemployed or facing job cuts and layoffs, while mechanical workers such as plumbers and electricians are experiencing success and job security. Reflection on the skills needed to perform mechanical work has helped to shape my perspectives on the actions that need to be taken in education to combat the issues globalization presents. Mechanical work often presents problems that need to be solved with a lot of different variables. When presented with these problems, workers must utilize past successes and failures and experiment with new techniques. In other words, they must think critically in order to reach a solution. The ability to think analytically and critically is crucial to creating a workforce that is irreplaceable. a workforce that is too invaluable to be outsourced. As educators, we must prepare our students for the globalized world in 3 specific ways. First, we need to teach students to appreciate and respect people of other cultures, since interconnectivity has brought people from all walks of life closer than they have ever been before. Second, we must encourage our students to use higher order thinking skills, to analyze problems and think critically. Finally, we must expose students to the technology necessary to further develop these skills and stay competitive in the global market. America needs to reach the realization that we do not exist as the focal point of the globe. English is no longer the most popular spoken language. This title has been awarded to Chinese. Future generations cannot rely on the belief that success can be achieved amidst narrow, egocentric viewpoints. In order to be successful, workers need to relate to, tolerate, and show respect for other cultures. We must be sensitive to and aware of other identities, as well as learn to communicate fairly across cultures. We must teach students how to interact with and learn from students from other cultural backgrounds. The initial dilemma with teaching cultural respect is the need to first establish a cultural self-identity. In an article titled "Edge People," Tony Judt describes his own identity in a way that is humorous but ever so true for so many people in our country. Judd identifies himself as an English-born student of European history teaching in the U.S., as a Jew somewhat uncomfortable with much that passes for Jewishness in contemporary America, as a social democrat frequently at odds with his self-described radical colleagues, a person who is too well-rooted in a variety of contrasting heritages. In our melting pot, or tossed salad society, many Americans can easily relate to Judd's sense of identity, or lack thereof, people living on the edge of a variety of identifiers. Globalization presents problems for teaching cultural tolerance because our increasingly flat world is shrinking the differences between cultures, and the distinct lines between cultures are beginning to blur. How can we teach students to identify with and respect other cultures if they aren't certain of what their own culture truly is? In addition to learning about other cultures, we must learn how our own individual patterns came to existence. It is crucial that educators learn to teach with a multicultural perspective in order to encourage appreciation and understanding of other cultures, harboring respect and a positive classroom atmosphere. This same theory applies to the corporate world. Although English has been the typical medium for global communication, it is advantageous for American workers to have an understanding of cultural values and practices, including language of foreign populations, so that we can understand more than just the spoken word. We can also understand the meaning and emotion behind the words. Taking the time to understand other cultures demonstrates respect for these cultures, and in turn, respect for those people. We cannot effectively work together in a globalized market without respecting and understanding each other. Once students are able to grasp the importance of appreciating the interconnectivity of cultures around the globe, central to success in global markets is the development of higher order thinking skills. As previously mentioned, students need to learn beyond facts. They need to be able to appreciate the how and the why instead of just the what. I have always believed that thinking critically held higher importance than memorizing factual information, and I am appreciative to have been exposed to research-based information supporting this belief. I do not feel that it is imperative that students remember that on December 16, 1773, a group of American colonists destroyed tea in Boston Harbor. I do, however, feel that students should understand how and why social movements begin, escalate, and resolve. These themes repeat throughout the history of our world, and it is the how that is crucial to being able to think critically, act rationally, and contribute thoughtfully to society. A workforce that is educated in applying skills such as these is more adept at adjusting to economic shifts. A worker who knows how to adjust and tighten a bolt is easily replaced. A worker that understands the way the bolts are interconnected and is able to create a solution when one of those bolts goes missing is far more valuable. Howard Gardner surmises that there are 7 crucial skills or understandings necessary for success in the area of globalization. These skills include, but are not limited to, an understanding of the global system, the ability to tackle difficult problems and issues, knowledge of and respect for one's own cultural traditions, and tolerance for the cultures of others. The most significant presented skill is the capacity to think analytically and creatively within disciplines, a skill that must be mastered in order to achieve success in the other presented areas. The ability to think in this way is what sets human interaction above computer technology. The ability to think outside of the box is what will set workers of the future apart. These skills are necessary to stay competitive with the workforce of other countries, as well as to stay competitive with technology itself. In order to foster the use of problem-solving skills and creativity, students should be exposed to technology in the classroom. While the world's technology is advancing at the speed of light, advancements in our education system seem to move at a snail's pace. There is a wealth of technology available to teachers that is often disregarded, either out of ignorance or out of lack of time and resources. The addition of a few computers with internet access exposes students to an infinite number of resources for thinking critically and working globally, including wiki spaces, blogs, and Google Documents. Students must begin working with technology at an early age and continue fostering these skills through the course of their education in order to stay current and competitive. Two key variables faced when implementing any instructional technology are the quality of the technology itself and the capability of instructors to use this technology. It is necessary for educators to stay informed of new technologies through employer-provided workshops and personally sought-out programs, such as the Instructional Media Program at Wilkes University. Prior to my experiences in this program, I had no idea how many free or low-cost materials my students have access to. It is a true disservice to our students to ignore exposure to technologies that are crucial to the development of skills necessary for future success. The United States is no longer at the forefront as a world leader in technology education. How can we ignore this? Incorporating technology in the classroom helps students develop skills to become competitive workers, including skills in technology itself, as well as problem solving and critical thinking skills. When faced with a state of disequilibrium, students are faced to rise to the challenge of thinking in new ways. I'm amazed at the thinking that takes place when students are instructed to work through difficult situations on their own, whether the challenge is to save a file to a jump drive or locate a reliable internet source. The use of technology in the classroom is also critical to understanding globalization and cultural awareness. I am exposing my 5th grade students to technology daily through an interactive smartboard and the use of Microsoft Office, including PowerPoint and Windows Movie Maker. I have also employed the use of a variety of Web 2.0 tools, including Vokies, VoiceThread, and Prezi. It has been challenging since many of my students were unable to do so much as open a Word document at the beginning of the school year, and my instructional time is already precious and limited. However, my hope is to continue refining my instructional practices and exposing my students to new technologies. I want them to gain an appreciation for the ability to access information and the freedom to share that information with people around the globe. I want my students to feel empowered by the belief that they possess the ability to create something and share it with people hundreds of thousands of miles away. Utilizing digital media and sharing across cultures helps to create understanding and respect for other cultures and alternate ways of thinking. At 10-11 years old, my students are not concerned with providing an economic justification for their future career choice. They are naive to the fact that the choices they make today have an effect on their future, as well as an effect on the future of people around the world. As educators, it is our responsibility to help shape the future workforce of our country. My 5th graders might not know it yet, but they play a crucial role in the success of our nation. They are standing on the brink of a crossroads in history. Can they help us regain America's status as an economic powerhouse? With our guidance, the fostering of cultural tolerance and global communication, and the ability to think critically and creatively, our students will have the tools necessary for success. It is my hope that they will discover the motivation to use them. This has been Learning on Your Lunch Break with Jenna Miller. Thanks for listening.